Al here with the Wltoys 019. I just want a special thanks to everybody that, liked my videos. We the quest for 100 miles an hour. More. See my last videos at 97. It's a pretty simple build. A couple little, throwing out little opinions here and my ideas that I personally think work because it pushed the car pretty quickly. And my last video, I think it was the last one I did, was 97, and I tried for it again. I changed a couple things around, and it took off and blew up, basically. So it's time for a rebuild, and I just wanted to show everybody ideas that can help them along the way. I'm not going to go step by step here because if you don't know how to turn a screw, I suggest just buying one that's already built. So these are just basically ideas. We're going to have a couple videos up just to start off. So let me show you some ideas. Our quest to 100 miles an hour. Well, here we go. It's a brand new car. Alright. There's the first thing you noticed. The drive shaft. It's got the Mod 1 gear. Obviously, there's a million videos out there for Mod 1 gear changing. That's great. This is just my opinion, my idea. I like to take the Mod 1 gear. As you notice, it's really thin. I shave them down, drill them out, make them lighter. Roughly 5 grams lighter. Helps with inertia. It's mass. The more mass you have to turn, the harder it is on a motor. If you noticed, this is really free. Like super free. Well, here's what I noticed. I've done these on all my cars. The drive shafts are roughly 1 millimeter, if not more, longer. Hence pushing the gears in the differential a little differently. So, what I've done is I shaved off about 1 millimeter or so off the ends and put it in there. You should be able to feel it because you'll notice a huge difference of the stock one. When you actually go to feel it with your fingers, you're going to feel it like it's knocking teeth, which is great and fine and dandy. But we're doing speed runs, and the less friction the faster you go. So what I did, when I shaved the drive shafts down, put it back together, like I said, it's just 1 millimeter. It's so tiny because, your gap spacing between your gears is very crucial. It's the same thing. So if you notice, this is really free now. I've done it to all my 2 other cars I've built. My differentials, I've seen videos, people saying they blew the differentials, this, that. I personally have not had that happen yet since I've done this. I think it has something to do with just the way that was meshed in there. But it could be me. Obviously, it's a little stiffer than normal because of the amount of grease that's in there. I use bearing grease. Car bearing grease. Just stack it in there and give it a couple runs. Once you break it in, the grease kind of separates a little, makes a little, thinner, I guess, if you want to look that way. And a free it'll get. Sometimes I do a little concoction with white lithium grease and bearing grease, and well, this was my old one. It's a nasty looking grease, but this has probably got 1,000 runs on it. Look at that gear. It's still perfect. Crack the insides open. What I do, this is like, again, my personal, you can lock the differential if you want. I don't believe in locking the differential because you want the car to kind of go down the road, but our roads aren't perfect either, so you're going to have to change that up a little bit. So what I do is I pack the rear differential, the inside, with grease. I pack it so it's really stiff. The front, I don't pack as much. Put a little some grease in there just to give it a little lubrication, and that's it. I don't want this front end to be any more, posi traction than an eighth to be. As you can tell, everything's smooth. Now, again, there's a bunch of videos on that, on how to put these in, these Mod 1 gears. Everybody does it. Don't need to show you that. This right here in the middle is like a drive shaft loop. Like any race car, you gotta have a loop. Much power, it's gonna bend aluminum rod around. I made this. I've seen a bunch of videos, people doing a bunch of things with duct tape and whatever they use. I don't know. Mine's pretty simple. Since you get rid of the motor mount, which I don't really care for, because obviously you can buy the one that's adjustable, but then you got to start shaving this to get that cleared. It's not worth it. This right here is a 5mm bearing that you can get anywhere. I'm pretty sure everybody has one. I just cut it, made it look fancy, and that's what it looks like. Put a little screw on top there to keep the bearing in place. Right there, and one on the bottom, so the bearing doesn't fly out of there. You still remove the bearing. You can still remove it pretty simply. Like again, I've done it to all my cars. I think it works great. It definitely saved the car quite a few times from blowing up the rear differential. Now, next one, there's another video here. Steering. A guy online did it. And I kind of helped him, kind of modify it a little bit. So let's get in there. See if we can get a sneak peek of this. Sorry, yeah, I'll do it this way. Alright, let's see if it focuses in there. Come on, focus for me. Sorry about that. Get this thing to focus in here a little bit, and I'll show you. Huh, no, it won't focus. Of course it won't, right? Let's try it again. There we go. That is a bearing. Guy on YouTube did it. I just took it a step further. He just mounted it in there. It's very hard to find washers for it. Use split washers, work the best. You're going to put a split washer underneath it so the bearing rides on top of the washer, not on top of the plastic. That bearing only rides in the center, not the outside. Drop it in place, and it's a free bearing. It helps tremendously with steering. It's a small servo. I don't think you expect much from this servo. It's very small. Again, less friction, the longer they last. Everybody knows about, there's a bunch of videos on it. This is the servo I use. I mean, there's a bunch of other ones, but I like these. They're cheap. Can't beat it. Budget build or not, I think it's great for a budget build. My car that did 97 miles an hour, I think I have total investment like $350 or something like that, $400, which isn't bad. Probably can go cheaper. This is an old motor mount I made. All it is just your aluminum angle iron. Just be creative, drill holes, and there you go. I'm going to mount that into place. You could buy one. I think they're like $13 or something like that, wherever they were. That's what I had in my last one, but 97 miles an hour. I probably was faster, but I didn't clock it because the thing's exploded. It bent the living heck out of this I've never seen one get totally mangled like that, but it definitely took a shot. I honestly think it's very thin aluminum, so I went with my own. Alright, brace. That's a must. Get a brace. Don't bother playing with that plastic thing. Get rid of it. It's just a headache. Don't cheap out. Get yourself a brace. Make one. I've made one from another car before. Might want to grind that up a little bit to fit your gearing, depending on what gear you put on it. I'm using taller gears, so you can just grind that off. No big deal. You might have to flip this the other way to fit this. The way they have it set up is because it doesn't have this, you can put it on there. But since I have this on here, I had to flip this. So basically, you just gotta turn them around. This little piece I made in here to push pressure on the top there so it doesn't move once it gets bolted in place. Alright, next, again, use spacers to help you out. I'm going to put a washer in here just because I think it's just a hair too tight. But that's one idea. Okay, for the next one is the shocks. This is the stock one that came on this car, which I have a couple of them that, again, I don't know why each car is different. 3 cars I bought were, one was different from the other. One had this shock, one had this shock. Seen this on the aftermarket. I bought a set. Here's another one. It's an aftermarket. This is original. Wltoys. It's so much smoother. This feels like it's some kind of cheap shock. It's like a, I don't know. It's just a, it seems like some kind of weird plasticky cheap shock. I don't know why they're different, as you can tell. But that's how you tell them apart. One's silver and one's purple. They're identical in length and everything. Just feel totally different. I don't know. So, basically, again, you're flipping your little bushings here, if you want to call them. You flip them around, straightens the rear out a little bit better, helps out tremendously, especially if you're doing speed runs. If you get a chance to do that, there's a video, the guy has it out there somewhere. Drill it out, put a bearing in there. The one thing he did miss is finding a washer. There isn't a washer designed that I have found that sits on that bearing. You gotta find one that sits on the center bearing only. And you gotta put it right on top, or on top of this black piece, or whatever piece you're using. You don't need one for the top because this screw actually has a like a baby sleeve on it or something weird on there that doesn't make it go all the way down, and it rests right on the center, so it works out perfectly. We're gonna change all the suspension parts. I noticed a huge difference with the suspension. These are loose. Look at this. This is factory. Never took it apart. That's factory. Very loose. I have a couple ideas to stiffen them up. We'll go into suspension, and then we'll go into the spacing of the drive shafts. They go in there. Some people use the regular drive shaft. I use the dog bones in the back. It seemed to work. I have a little trick for that. That'll probably be in the future videos. I'm going to go by little here and finish it all up. So this will be the start of a couple of videos on the Wltoys 019. We'll be putting in a power plant. Yes, we are throwing this bad boy in there. I did enjoy my other power plant that I had in my other one, which was the Hobby Wing. I think it was the X1 or XR8, whatever it was. You know, most people said, "Oh, they're not great. They're not great." Well, I still broke. I almost did 100, so I did pretty good. And most of the guys that are breaking hundreds have a different motor setup. I'm going to be throwing this in there just to give it a shot. 4.5 turn. I believe it's a train, or yeah, it's a 4.5. It says 4.5. Can never figure out why it says 4.5 and then it says 3.5, but it is a 4.5. It's from Trinity. I heard good things about him. I'm gonna give him a shot. My last car had, was it Rudd Dog? It was a 5.0 turn motor, I think it was. Phenomenal motor, phenomenal. I put a 3S on it. You saw the videos. That motor didn't even get hot. Also, I have other packages here. I thought of this one. It's a 6900 kV. Everybody's been running. You know, all the guys out there. Props to you guys with Wltoys and showing them off. I believe this is the 6900 one. Yes. Some guys are doing it with the 7700s, hitting 100 miles an hour on 2S. I noticed that I tried with the 6900 kV. It gets hot, like hot. So I don't know. Again, it could be from gearing, obviously, a bunch of things. Next video, like I said, I'm going to show you a couple things on the suspension. We'll do. I'll probably get the brace in there. When you put this brace in, trust me, you're going to want to put a little spacer in there. If you're using the stock body, I'm not. Might want to raise up to get posts for it. Raise it up so you have a little more room. So that's about it really for right now. And we'll do a setup. And like I said, there's other videos out there doing most of this stuff. I'm just throwing little opinions that I have on it. That I think work. So, but you know, you guys can give it a shot too. You guys understand how to do it. It's pretty simple. Alright guys. Appreciate it guys. Hey, like and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next videos. The quest for 100 continues.